All right, we're going to move on to solving advanced linear equations. So this is a little bit different than two steps. They may involve exactly two steps. They may involve a bit more, but there are a couple different wrinkles involved when solving these types of equations. So a couple things you need to make sure you are aware of is before you start moving terms across the equal sign and isolating the variable, you have to make sure that any type of parentheses, any type of distribution property is taken care of. Parentheses are simplified. All right, so moving into the first example, 15 minus q is equal to negative 3. We have a positive 15 that's being subtracted from the q. The opposite of a positive 15 is subtract 15. So the 15 minus 15 gives us 0, and we are left with a negative q equals negative 18. Now, this is a negative 1 times a q, and the way that you get rid of a negative 1 times q is to do the opposite of times negative 1, which is to divide by negative 1. And negative 18 divided by negative 1 is a positive 18. Some of you may be familiar with the canceling out the double negatives trick, and if you change the sign on one side, then you change the sign on the other. That's going to work in equations like this, but when they get a little bit more complicated, it's going to be better to just divide by the negative. And on the next one, 2 times the quantity x minus 6 is equal to 6. Again, we have to make sure that all of our parentheses are taken care of, and this is the distributive property. So 2 times x and 2 times negative 6. Now this just becomes a regular two-step equation that we've done before in the past. Get rid of the negative 12 first because that is reverse PEMDAS. Let's switch colors here. We're left with 2x equals 18, and the opposite of multiply by 2, is to divide by 2. Getting ahead of myself. And 18 divided by 2 is equal to 9. So just make sure that all of your parentheses are taken care of before you start moving stuff. And then you may have to kind of use some intuition and common sense that this is a negative 1 when moving, because that's involving multiple steps.